You and I are about to go inside the latest round of WWE tryouts. And though I've covered these on my channel before, they've always been from my point of view as someone who has coached at the Performance Center. But today, we're going to hear directly from one of the participants in the latest round of tryouts. Ricky South is typically jet-setting between all his bookings in North America and his bookings down in Australia, but he recently took a detour over to the PC in Orlando, Florida. And we're going to be jumping on the line with him in just a second to talk about the entire experience. Before we do, leave me a like-a-palooza. I need your help with the engagement numbers, please and thank you. And now, I'm heading to my workstation. We're going to get Ricky South on the line. Our conversation about WWE tryouts is coming right up. Ricky, thanks for making time in your busy schedule as you're nonstop, it seems, between North America and Australia and making towns everywhere in between all the time to talk about your recent experience, because you went and did the last round of WWE tryouts at the Performance Center.
I did. And look, Mike, I'll always make time for you. Yeah, just came back from a wonderful experience down into the PC for a week, and yeah, can't speak highly enough of that experience. It was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious to know, you've seen a couple of the videos that I have on the channel that are meant to prepare people for the tryout experience, but of course, my time at the PC now is a few years in the past. How did that information match up with your experience?
The thing that has always remained true, and this was the part that I found to be most taxing and most exhausting myself, is you are a model employee. And what that means is you need to be energetic and positive for 12 hours of every day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not easy, and especially for me. So, yeah, you need to be that hype man. You need to be shouting. You need to be smiley. You say the minute you get on the bus, I think that the minute you get out of your hotel room, you need to be on camera, ready to roll. And that's exhausting.
Right. Like I've heard people say your face hurts from smiling.
Yeah, your face hurts from smiling and your voice is gone by the end of the first day. And so then you have to cut promos, sounding yeah, pretty raspy.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember how far in advance of the tryout were you contacted?
I was contacted about 2 months, 2.5 months out.
I see. And how did they first reach out to you about it?
So I had been dealing with the international talent scout for kind of like Europe and sort of Southeast. It's like it sort of covers Australia, Mr. Smallman.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I just would like to, he's absolutely fantastic. And anyone in those markets, I would recommend reaching out. He's very open and receptive.
Right, very
Uh,
knowledgeable guy.
Insanely knowledgeable. I mean, he knows wrestling and has quite a good eye for what's good. Um, and then yeah, it was just constant communication, getting feedback from that gentleman. So when the opportunity came up for tryouts, he gave myself and obviously a few other people a call and extended that invite out.
Mm-hmm. And when you went down, was yours like the 2.5 day experience? So you kind of got down there midway through the first day and then had 2 full days in the PC? How long total was yours?
So it was meant to be a full week. However, they realized that it was scheduled on, I think it was Labor Day on the Monday. So there was a public holiday that kind of derailed it.
Hmm.
And then the Tuesday was NXT taping, so they didn't really do much. It was just taping on the Tuesday. So everything really started Wednesday to Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So what was meant to be kind of a 4-day, 4.5 day experience turned out to be a 3-day.
Mm-hmm. And could you tell us just a little bit about like what they had you doing on each of those days? How were they different or how were they the same those 3 days?
Yeah, look, so Tuesday was just basically shadowing and just observing the entire sort of operation behind the when it comes to show day for NXT. And obviously, I'm speaking to yourself. That's obviously had a plethora of experience there, but it's just seeing how things interact and how things work behind the scenes. and just very much shadowing, meeting the people that you were sort of communicating with via email, and just quite literally just being there, being a fly on the wall and observing that experience. The next day on the Wednesday was the first day of actual physical activity. So we just started with a medical, just making sure that everyone's still fit to go. And all right, I'm going to just try and remember everything. The first day, the Wednesday, we actually started with some improvisation, and something that I believe they brought in, which is quite new, is they brought in an improv and acting coach to assist, the wrestlers and the athletes and the prospective sort of signees, that ability to get comfortable in improv style. So did about an hour and a half of improv drills, which was quite fantastic. And then just did a promo on the fly, just to a random entrance. So I don't know what song I got, but it was not character adjacent, which I kind of loved. It was fun. Did a promo on the fly, and then went over, did some physical activity, so some physical drills as a team and individual. Then we came back, then did a promo to the camera in front of the entire PC. And then after that, we did in-ring drills. The in-ring drills kind of took us to the end of the day, and that was from, like, I would say 3 p.m. to about 5:30, 6 o'clock. And those drills were honestly for any experienced wrestler, quite basic. Um, when I say basic, and I just want to also reiterate, basic, but you got to put a lot in, if that makes sense. It's got to, yeah, you got to put a lot of energy into it.
Right. You know that they're judging you. Like, it's not just about the technique, it's everything you bring to the tryout.
Correct. And it's honestly, it's everything that you're doing when you're outside and just waiting. Because as you said, the camera's always on you and someone's always watching. So you gotta be on. The next day, on the Thursday, it started with a little bit more some in-ring work, but then we just went into tryout matches. So did a tryout match in front of the entire crew. What was nice is they filmed those tryout matches, and immediately after did basically just tape review and study of those matches, and just some points from some of the coaches there on, just feedback, what to improve on, some things to kind of keep in mind, or some things to adjust, because we knew there was going to be another match the following day, and you want to be able to show that you can take those bits of feedback from the initial skull session, implement that the following day.
How
But
long
after
did
that,
they give you to put those matches on? Did they give you 5 minutes?
I would say you're probably looking around about 10, 15 minutes.
Wow, that's really generous.
Yeah, I know. It was quite nice of them. You got advised who you were wrestling with prior, so the day before. So, I mean, you could have hypothetically, sat down with them over dinner or whatnot, but it was just very much, we got there that day, 10, 15 minutes, put it together. They did have some people assisting in producing or agenting those matches. And those people were just either people from NXT or Evolve superstars as well. So there was obviously a little bit of help just to make sure that, what we're doing is in line with the expectation on what, the coaches and the people really want to see. So it was always good to have that advice and have that assistance on that end. But after those tryout matches, we did some more physical activity, but this physical activity was now just assessments. So assessing your vertical leap, your broad jump, your 10-yard dash. And I think that was primarily it. The one thing across all the days and before every activity that they took very, very seriously was just appropriate warm-ups and just making sure everyone's appropriately sort of warm and blood's sort of flowing, and making sure that we're ready to conduct these activities. So don't take any sort of shortcuts on warming up. After the physical activity was another promo. Obviously, the promos were of a different nature. We did get briefed on what those promos were going to be about,
Hmm.
so you could theoretically prepare. Um, and then after the promo was just some more in-ring drills, and that took us to the end of the Thursday. And Friday was quite literally, basically, I think they call it a PC day, whereby think like a mini house show for the PC staff and crew and wrestlers. So came in the morning. I think it was 8 a.m. By 8:30, you're wrestling. So that amount of time to put that match together, again, probably about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then out there, do your match in front of the crowd. And we'll always say that crowd was very giving, very receptive. So, it's not like it's a high pressure situation, even though it may feel like it. They're very receptive. So it was great to have that. And then after that, like a bit of a wrap up, bit of a summary, nice little pep talk, and safe travels.
Hmm. And as they wrap this thing up, they do usually give you a time frame if they're interested when you can expect to hear from them. Did they talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, they said that the usual time frame is about 1 to 2 weeks, so post tryout.
Hmm. And do you remember everyone that tried out at the same time as you? Were they a current working pro, or did they have some other recruits, like an athlete from a different discipline in the mix?
I would say majority of the people that attended that tryout were people without pro wrestling experience.
Ah.
So, so if I was to possibly put that into terms of a split, I reckon 70-30.
Hmm.
70% of people there were perhaps either athletes from a former discipline or um, perhaps people with a large social media presence or whatnot, or just people that they thought would make a great fit for what WWE does. And then 30% were active participating wrestlers.
Hmm. When you kind of think
So
back on it as a whole, what's your top takeaway for somebody who maybe they just got invited to the next tryout? If you could give them, like, hey man, here's something you need to understand about this experience, what's at the top of that list?
I think at the very top of that list is the mind shift that you got to take into it is this is a job, and this is theoretically a job interview. And what you want to do on any job interview, whether that's, accounting, sales, or WWE, you got to be likable and you got to have a great attitude and you got to be, and you've said it before, a model employee.
Hmm.
So, how would you do all those three? You got to smile, be engaging, interact with as many people as possible, be sociable. If you like give off a hint of negativity, okay, I think that's a big no-no. No one wants to be around anyone that's negative in any way, really. So just any way in which you can be likable, memorable, hopefully in a good way, and a model employee, that's the mindset that you need to kind of take into this. And I feel like it's quite different for professional wrestlers, because this for most people is our lifelong dream or whatnot, and they may get frozen up or may get feel the pressure. And with that being said, maybe they're not as sociable, maybe they're not as funny, maybe they're not as engaging as they normally are, because this is my life and this is what I've always wanted, which I feel the people who outside of wrestling thrive at.
Hmm.
um, they are just a bundle of energy, and they have a great attitude. They're fun to be with because, this is a great experience for them. That's, a bit of a out of left field experience, and they soak it up, and, they just be themselves. So yeah, long story short, I'll just say be memorable, be likable, be a model employee.
Hmm. That's great, Ricky. Thank you so much. Thanks for being open about your whole experience down there and sharing this information. There's so many people, I think, that for them, this experience you just had is their their big goal. It's their dream in wrestling is to go and show their talents and abilities to the industry leader. And yeah, I just appreciate you coming here and being really open about the entire time you had down at the PC.
No, look, I appreciate it. And if this advice or this can help anyone else, then my goodness, I'd be very honored.
If you want to check Ricky out on the social medias, I've got all the links you need down below so you can follow his journey. If you want to explore the other videos I've made about the WWE tryout system, a handy-dandy playlist that I have put together for you is no doubt on screen, so you can click on it and keep on learning. You will also notice a roll call of all the people who support the work of Till We Make It. This is every single one of my amazing patrons.